Thanks for listening to the Swearing In podcast, where you'll hear the origin stories of those who chose to serve. So ground your gear, take a seat, and listen up. The Swearing In podcast starts right now.
C-130 rolling down the strip.
C-130 rolling down the strip.
We on an airborne ranger, take a little trip.
We're on an airborne ranger, gonna take a little trip.
Hello and welcome to all of you listening out there, and I'd like to present a crisp salute to all of my brothers and sisters in service. This is the Swearing In podcast, and I am your host, Marty Smith. On the podcast today is firefighter field training paramedic Mike Grossman. Mike was born and raised in Bryan, Texas. He attained an emergency medical technician license while still in high school. After graduating from Bryan High School in 2008, he attended the University of Texas at Arlington. Taking a break from university, he enrolled in paramedic school and volunteered at the Rendon, Texas Fire Department. As he completed paramedic school, he then began his enrollment in the Fire Academy in 2013. He was hired by the Keller Fire Department in March 2014, where he currently works today. So there's your pre-brief on Mike. Now let's get on with the interview. Joining me today is firefighter field training paramedic, or firefighter FTP, Mike Grossman. Mike's currently with the Keller, Texas Fire Department, right? Yeah. Mike, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So how long have you been a firefighter?
10 years now.
10 years?
10 years.
Okay, so how did it all start? What were you doing? What were you doing before firefighting even came into the picture?
I was a college student. I came up to UTA. I was a pre-med college student.
Usually that's pre-business.
Yeah, you would think, yeah. So I got my EMT license in high school because I wanted to work through college. That was my idea.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Was there a program, or you just walk down there and say, hey, I want to be an EMT?
It was a program. So I went through TEACS, which is an A&M sub thing. And I did their night school, my last semester of high school.
How'd you find out about that? Was that offered through the high school?
No. I just found out on my own, really.
Was it expensive, or?
I think it was probably like $400.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't bad at the time.
And what do they train you? I'm sorry, I'm fascinated by this.
That's okay.
What do they, when you go sign up, is it supposed to lead somewhere? Or is it just like, if I wanted to go get a real estate license, I could go get a real estate license?
Right. So for the EMT class that I was in, we met 3 nights a week. And it was like 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Basically, we have a textbook about 900 pages. And it covers medical care, basic medical care. They call it BLS, basic life support, for all ages, for all issues going on, trauma, medical, whatever.
Yeah.
And you work your way through the textbook with the main instructor. And as you're going through the didactic portion, you're also doing skills practice for basics, which is very basic.
Yeah.
It's bandaging. It's making sure you can take vital signs.
And you did this at after high school?
I was in high school.
Oh, so you did this like 17, 18?
Uh-huh.
What year was that?
That was 2008.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I was actually, so my high school was a magnet high school. So
what's that mean?
I was morning, I was at the regular high school in athletics and all that.
Yeah.
And then the afternoon, I go to a different high school, and it was for people who knew they wanted to be in healthcare. And so.
Oh, wow. It's almost like a trade school.
Pretty much, yeah. And they had programs where you could finish with your CNA, certified nurse assistant, or pharmacy tech.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It was awesome because your senior year, you get in your health class, you can do internships.
Okay.
And so it was junior, senior year. I spent 2 afternoons a week for 2 years, basically, in the emergency room. I was there for 3 hours. Yeah. And that's where that's when I was introduced to it.
Yeah.
And I fell in love.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see anything that was like, oh my God?
I remember like it was yesterday, my very first day in the ER, they had a CPR come in.
Yeah.
and one of the county EMSs brought him in. And, up until this point, my dad had worked at the hospital my whole life in HR. But
he did? Oh, okay.
Not like in the healthcare part of it, though. So
at least you had hospital sort of around you. Yeah.
True, yeah. And I think people may have treated me differently because he was HR at that hospital. So I felt like
the admin's kid.
Yeah, I was the chief suites kid, But I remember it like it was yesterday. Like I was getting kind of an orientation to the ER, and they're like, "Oh, we're getting a CPR." As an EMT student, or actually as a student, you can do compressions.
Okay.
And so I was like, "Oh, I've never done that before." And I remember like they brought in this may be a little vulgar, but they brought in this lady. She was old, like close to 100.
Whoa.
And she was from a nursing home. She probably should have been pronounced dead or had a DNR or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
But
was she unconscious then?
Oh, she was dead.
Oh, she was.
They were doing CPR on her. Well, they were trying to bring,
she hadn't been formally pronounced dead yet.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So they, if we don't have a DNR and someone just died, we have to, by state law,
you got to keep going, right?
Yeah. And I remember people were talking about, like the doctor and like the nurse were talking about like the vacation coming up and like, oh, make sure you get that done. Like, oh, and I'm over here like, all I know before that's Grey's Anatomy, people yelling at each other,
Right.
I'm like, why are they just bullshitting around? Like, and then of course she passed away and it was whatever. But yeah, that was like my first day.
Let me take a second. I forgot to ask, did you grow up in Keller?
No. I'm actually born and raised in Bryan, College Station, Texas.
Oh, okay. And that's where you went to high school at?
Mm-hmm. Bryan High.
How much longer was that course? How long was the course in the first place?
So the CPR I was telling about, that was me in high school doing my high school health program internship. So I was only CPR certified. Man. Yeah, I was 16 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that program was so cool because at 16, 17, 18 years old, I was in the ER.
Yeah.
Basically helping. All I could do was be a set of hands to help hold, to help someone to the restroom. But I got to witness the dynamic of the ER, which is just chaotic, which is like what I live for,
It's obviously not for everybody.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Especially when you have, and that's been covered in so much media, TV, movies, and then you see it and you're like, this is not even,
Yeah, some people are just not cut out for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you did that. Then you started that EMT course.
Right.
How long was the EMT course?
So started, I want to say it was February. I was done by May. So 2 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So
all right.
Not bad.
And you're still going to college?
No. And then, so I graduated high school in May. I finished the EMT program.
Oh, that's right. It was high school, right? So you finished that and then you were going to go to college.
Mm-hmm. And the whole summer. So when you finish all of your classroom portion of everything, you have clinicals you have to do.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So I did 12-hour shifts on the ambulance and then 12-hour shifts in the ER, 1 ICU shift, 1 labor and delivery shift.
Huh.
And I think that was it.
How did they treat you?
Like a student. Like the very first question they ask is, how old are you? And I'm like, 18. They're like, deep breath. Cause I was with this crew in Montgomery County, which is north of Houston.
Yeah.
And it was incredible EMS service. Montgomery County Hospital District, MCHD. They still run it down there. They're awesome.
Really?
And I was with 2 guys, both 20 years on the job, been partners forever. And these dudes looked at me like gray hair and all, just like, how old are you? And I was like 18. And that one dude just took a deep breath. He's like, like.
Made you feel 5 inches tall.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I was pretty oblivious. So I was just like, yeah, they must be tired.
Oh, yeah. I guess so. That's the best way to do it, I suppose. Yeah.
But yeah, and I spent a lot of shifts with them down there. I saw so much.
Really?
Yeah. Like, and because I-45 is right there.
Okay.
And there's wrecks on that all the time.
Oh,
so we got to see some crazy stuff.
All right. So how did you graduate?
Graduate from EMT. Yep.
And you get labeled as what? Do you get a certificate or?
Mm-hmm. You get a EMT basic license.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so that allows you to go apply for jobs or.
Right.
Yeah. Now you're free and clear and you're like, what do I do?
Yeah. Oh, I'm in college.
So you did start college.
Yeah, I go to UTA, University of Texas, Arlington.
Oh, Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
Is Austin is a UTA too?
That's just UT.
Oh.
I was at like a satellite campus. I wasn't
Okay.
quite smart enough to get into UT. I wanted to like go to, I remember I was pre-med, but like my grades were pretty meh.
Yeah.
So I was like, I knew I just wanted to be like, in my head, I wanted to be like a trauma surgeon or an ER doctor. But then I get to college and I had a freaking blast. For the first time in my life, I didn't have to go to class because attendance wasn't mandatory.
That's right.
I just had to show up for the test.
That's right.
And I was like, well, I can do that. My grades are pretty good. Though that was a damn lie. I was a terrible test taker when I didn't actually go to class. My first semester I actually did okay. Mm-hmm. Like I probably had like a 3.0. And then after that, I got in a fraternity.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
What fraternity were you part of?
Delta Upsilon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I was there like, and I loved it. I wouldn't give it up for the world.
No, of course not.
But I was a terrible student.
Of course you were.
Terrible freaking student. But I have like lifelong friends from the fraternity still to this day.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
And we should mention that you just got engaged.
I did, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Are they going to come to the wedding? Your lifelong friends?
Oh, yeah. My best man, he's one of my buddies.
No open bar for them, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends. It depends on our budget. Open bars are expensive.
I know.
Yeah.
How's the firefighter bug start? All right.
So
you already got the EMT, so you get some of that emergency service exposure.
Sure. And through my time in college, I worked as an EMT.
Yeah.
I worked at Six Flags.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, they have their own EMS.
So do you like independent contract out to them or something? Or do you just hire on as part-time with them and
seasonal? They're seasonal.
Oh, seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, only during like high times, sometimes in the winter whenever they've got like winter in the park.
Yeah.
But I was at Six Flags for 6.5 years as an EMT, like just throughout. And then I worked
working at Six Flags Park?
And Hurricane Harbor, the water park. You worked there. I was there as an EMT the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a blast. Like I thought I'd be there with a bunch of other newbies like me.
Yeah.
But really it was older guys, been in the fire departments for years. They're doing it to get the season passes for their kids.
Yeah.
So really I was exposed to the fire department for the first time there, working with these guys that have been in the service for a while.
That's pretty cool.
So I had a blast doing it. Like it was so much fun. And I worked at I worked at John Peter Smith Hospital, County Hospital. I worked in their observation unit and I'd float down to the ER. It's a level 1 trauma center. It's pretty cool.
So all these part-time gigs are all connected here then.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And
how's the doctor dream going at this point?
Oh yeah, it's down the drain, dude. Yeah, doctors like done. I'm just like, there's no way I can get the. I took anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, both of them 3 separate times.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'm a terrible student.
Well, but I've heard that medical classes, the gamut of them.
Yes.
Everybody has like a bugaboo, right? Almost straight memorization, right?
That's it. And it's like, you think anatomy and physiology is like, bone and muscle and organ. No, it is down to the cellular level.
Oh, it is.
Of each organ and how it interacts with this and that. And it's important because I took it 3 separate times and failed it. Like, I do have a good knowledge of it now. Thank God.
Well, because it's not being forced down you.
Yeah, right? I passively took it in on my own time. Yeah.
Okay.
But so I did, and I realized doctor dreams down the drain. Basically, I even tried PA route, the physician assistant. That was down the drain.
You still almost got to do the same amount of stuff, right?
Same thing, and you basically, it's even more competitive than some med schools.
Yeah,
really.
Sure.
And then I tried nursing. I was like, I'll just,
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah, no, they're like, good try, bud. Yeah, I was like, shit. Like, I'm an EMT. I know at my core, I just want to help people. That is it.
All right, that's fair.
So I default after talking to one of my buddies at Hurricane Harbor. He's a paramedic. He's like, why don't you just go to medic school, work as a medic for a while, and then go back to school and do what you want to do?
Like a civilian medic?
We call it paramedic, work as a medic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
those are kind of interchangeable.
Slang for paramedic.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
Fair enough.
So I was like, okay, screw it. And I applied like that day to this hospital program, Methodist Hospital, in downtown Dallas.
Does that mean that you had to disenroll from school?
No, I had pretty much taken a semester off at that point.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So
it was okay because you were working all the part-time stuff, and so you weren't out of money or anything.
No, and my parents, to be quite honest, my parents helped me a lot.
Good.
I had great, my parents were very, very helpful, but I never, they would not have helped me if I didn't have a job.
Makes sense.
Yeah. He's like, my dad's big on, he's like, you were in school, focus on that. But he's like,
I'm not going to help you if you're just a drinking frat boy. Right?
Exactly. And I never did. Since age 14, I've had a job. I've never not had a job.
Good for you.
So, but yeah, got into paramedic school.
Okay.
And just kind of it was a backup plan. I wasn't looking to make it a career, really.
Yeah.
And this was 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, the midway of 2012, May of 2012 is whenever I started. And I met a really good friend there who worked at a volunteer fire department. And I told him, I was like, I really want some more time on the ambulance in a 911 setting, not like a transfer from nursing home to hospital.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I want to run calls. I want to go see some shit, you know?
Sure.
And he's like, oh, come out to Rendon, while you were in paramedic school. They'll teach you while you're out there. I was like, okay.
Rendon,
so that's
Texas.
when I started. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Rendon is it's a small incorporated town, I guess you could say, in Burleson, Texas.
Oh, all right.
Uh-huh. And I started there in 2012 I was basically a paramedic student and a volunteer. And that was my very first introduction into the fire service.
Oh, so you were headed for medical.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you're volunteering for the fire department.
Yeah.
With the medical still going.
And they had an ambulance there. It was obviously I guess semi-busy ambulance. Okay. And they had all the fire stuff. They had fire engines, brush trucks, it's county.
Yeah.
And I was very upfront with everyone there. I was like, I'm here to learn EMS. I want to be the best paramedic I can. And they're all fire guys, which fire guys are like, EMS is, we have to do that. Where I was kind of the opposite. I was like, I like to do EMS. Fire I wasn't interested in.
Huh.
And
so you got along swimmingly with those guys.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, and they taught me so much. I remember it was an extrication class that they put on. Okay. Vehicle extrication. We're talking about tools. We brought out all the tools. We ran them. We were cutting up a car or whatever. And I was like, I was in bunker gear. They had given me bunker gear.
All right.
And I was like, this is kind of badass. I kind of want to do this. Can I do both?
Yeah.
That was my question. And most departments you have to do both. And I was like,
yeah, there's not that many people, right? So you got to be kind of dual hatted a little bit.
Yeah. So and then the fire department, because I was volunteer, I got a stipend. It was like $500 for fire school.
Well, that doesn't hurt.
So they sent me through fire school, and then that was it, dude.
Now, you can walk off the street and go through fire school, right? Or do you need a station to sponsor you?
No, you don't have to be sponsored. Okay. You have to find out some way to pay for it. Most of them are college incorporated, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Through a community college. So just find a way to pay for it. But there's so many ways.
Yeah.
And they would prefer you to have your EMT license before you start.
Well, you were good to go for that.
I was good to go.
Yeah.
And I was in paramedic school.
How long is the paramedic school?
It was 18 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the school part was probably 12 a year.
And then it's
all
on the job after that, right?
Yeah, it's all clinical time.
Yeah.
I was with the fire department I had to do 12 24-hour shifts with Grand Prairie Fire Department.
Okay.
And then I had to do...
And that was as a volunteer?
That was as a paramedic student.
Oh, that was required for the paramedic?
Yep.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I had to do that. And by the end of that, you're running calls with these crews that... I was at Station 1 A shift, and we got our tails kicked in every day.
Really?
It was 18 calls in a 24-hour period.
Oh.
Just busting our tails. It was so much fun, though. I still see the guys that mentored me during that time, and it's like, oh my God, how you doing? One of them, Tanner's like, hey man, when you coming to test for Grand Prairie? I was like, I'm not. I like Keller, but I
I
appreciate it. Yeah.
And so this is all in Rendon, you said?
The clinicals and stuff, that was part of my paramedic school. That was in Grand Prairie.
Oh, all right.
And then
that's why they wanted you to come over.
Right.
Okay.
And then at the same time, so I'm doing a couple of hats at the same time period. I'm working at JPS Hospital as an EMT tech.
Okay.
Observation floor. I'm in paramedic school, which is every third day.
Oh.
And
interesting.
then you have clinicals in between. So I've got to do my ride outs with Grand Prairie, my ER shifts, my L&D shifts, and I'm also volunteering at Rendon.
Yeah.
And I had a girlfriend at the time. She didn't like any of that. That's why
I don't know when you got any time. My God, you were running from one thing to the next.
I had no time.
Yeah.
No time at all. But it was so much fun.
You ever get to a point, it's like, oh, I may have to give one of these up.
Well, I knew I should have, but I didn't. I had multiple people tell me, like, don't you need to drop something? And I was like, hell no. Like,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're leaning forward.
Yeah, that's why I was no longer with that girl, because she was the one that told me to drop something. So I dropped her.
Fair. So you dropped her. Good. So what's next?
So out of medic school, and I pretty much jumped as I was testing out of medic school, I was starting fire academy, which we call rookie school.
Right. So what is the big test? The whole 10 events in 10 minutes, 8 events in 10 minutes, whatever is that?
Okay. So most cities call it the CPAT.
Yeah.
Certified physical agility test.
Okay.
And then we call it just the PAT, the physical agility test. So during rookie school, you actually do all of the things that you would do during a PAT.
Okay.
But it's, they're teaching you fundamentals, and
they're teaching you how to do it.
Right.
So.
It's very paramilitaristic too.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you show up early. It's like class starts, or PT starts at 7, but you get there at 6. That way, everyone's there an hour early, and then we're running in cadence.
Oh, you were?
Oh yeah.
Really?
And it was
you have firefighter cadences?
Yeah. Well, no, it was whoever was in the military.
Yeah.
We used whichever one they brought with them. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you, but I just remember like every time I was about 45, 50 pounds heavier.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm 5'7", so you can imagine I didn't.
Yeah. How were you doing with the running then?
Not very good. Ever. Terrible. Not in shape. And I remember we were getting there, and Frank was like the main guy when we did runs. He was a Fort Worth fireman, been in Fort Worth 30 something years.
Jeez.
He's like, all right, guys, he's like, we're going for a run today, and we're going at the pace of the slowest runner.
Good.
And he's like, Grossman, get your fat ass to the front. No. And I was like, all right,
Roger that.
And right behind me was like the class captain, who's Cody, he's D1 basketball player. Dude's like 6'7", and and
you're 5'7",
5'7", like 260.
So he's pissed that you're not straightening out for him.
And I'm just taking these baby steps, like, because we did like 4.5 miles.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was cool because like the whole time Frank was with me up front. I've never run that far in my life, and I was like, I can't. And he's like, you can do, and he just, they motivate you and everyone in the class, and just shows you can do things beyond what you think your ability is.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, it was a really cool lesson. Cool. Yeah, I was crazy tired after though.
So how's it progress? I'm kind of taking over the story. I don't mean to by asking all those questions, but I'll let you free flow here. So you're in the academy, and how long is that? How long is the academy?
So it was like August to November. I'm just not real good with math.
That's okay. What year? What year are we talking about now?
2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So my years of service prior to that were like part of the volunteer fire department, and then 2013 is when I got certified.
So does it all culminate with that PAT at the end?
So you don't have, like, they have it at different times during rookie school.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. So the school hosts the PAT, and it's usually sponsored by a fire department that's hiring.
Okay. So you got various people rolling in there to take that test every month or every other month or whatever it was.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so, like, say, I remember in the middle of rookie school, Euless, a city in the DFW Metroplex, was hiring, and so they had a PAT in the middle of it. Basically, it's run by the instructors of the fire academy, or some instructors. They kind of proctor it, and it's with the equipment that's at the fire academy. But Euless provided their ladder truck for the raising of the ladder. I want to say it was you. Don't give me name dropping, but yeah. And I remember that's kind of how each city does it. And so people who wanted to work for Euless would come there, take the test, and then rookies in rookie school had the ability to take the test if they wanted to.
I mean, it would make sense just to kind of see where you're at every time, right?
Exactly. And I never did for some reason. I really should have. Like, to practice, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I don't think that I was fully sold that I would actually work in the fire department. I think I was like, oh, I'll just be part-time.
Yeah.
Or something. I had some weird fantasy in my head, I guess.
Now, if you were talking to your 20-year-old self back then, you're like, why aren't you taking this thing?
Yes,
right?
I would. Because so back then you were testing, they had entrance exams for multiple fire departments while we're in rookie school.
Oh, okay.
And the instructors are like, guys, go take this test, go practice it, see what it's like, see what you need to study that way. And then they're like, if you pass, the worst thing I could have is you get hired and now you graduate rookie school and you have a job.
Right.
And they pushed it. And I remember I only went because I was peer pressured into going to one test for a city up there, and took the test, first test I ever took, and I passed. I made an 80.
Oh, damn.
And I'm a terrible test taker.
Not that day.
Yeah, no. I made an 80 for the city, and they're like, all right, here's your personal history statement or packet. You need to finish this by next week. Sucker was this thick.
Whoa.
It was like 40 something pages.
So were you technically applying for that fire department?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, crap, I don't know if I'm ready for this,
Right.
And so like, it's a big deal. Like if you want that job, you finish that personal history state packet and then you turn it in early. You don't turn it in on time. You don't turn it in late. They won't accept it.
Yeah.
And I remember I waited.
You had to commit.
Yeah. And I waited to like last minute and I was like, oh, let me just look at it.
I love your consistency so far over these years.
It really is. I'm a huge procrastinator.
Apparently.
I'll admit it. But I remember like the night before and it was like, I needed to get, I had moved every year in college because it was whatever apartment was cheaper.
Yeah. Right.
I needed to list every single address. I needed to list every single roommate. Granted, one of those was a frat house.
Yeah.
I needed to list their contact information and I needed to list the neighbor's contact information.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah. And so I couldn't do that 12 hours before the packet was due. So I just didn't turn it in.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
So I completely dropped the ball on that. I remember I told one of the instructors, he's like, did you get your stuff in? I was like, oh no. He's like, what the fuck? Yeah. So not the smartest dude. I learned a big lesson there. I was like, okay, if I'm going to commit, I need to commit.
Yeah.
And do this.
I mean, still nothing really lost because all of a sudden you're like, okay, apply to this fire department. And you're like, whoa, wait a second. I just took that test to see if I could take the test.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay.
Yeah. So that was about halfway through rookie school. And as I'm finishing up, I'm starting to understand like, okay, like I'm going to be working as a firefighter paramedic full time. Like this is going to be my job.
So
now.
just kind of like acceptance, switch flipped, kind of like, all right, let's go get this. Right?
Yeah. I was like, if I don't like this in a couple years, I was like, then I'll go back to school and become a PA.
Options.
Yeah. I'll do whatever, or I'll go to business. Who knows? I was like, I can do whatever I want, But so yeah, I ended up graduating rookie school, and I had taken a test. It was like for Plano and Denton. There in Irving. It was 3 tests in 2 weeks.
Now, were these places you wanted to go, or were you just looking places that had availability?
So at that time, with the mindset I had for a fire department, I knew Plano was the highest paid fire department in DFW. So that was the only thing I wanted to do there. Yeah. And this is God's honest truth, right? And I knew Irving was busy and they got paid pretty well. And then I knew Denton was busy and they, I think they were paid really well at the time.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. And they weren't big cities like Dallas or Fort Worth.
Yeah.
But they were a little bit smaller. So I felt like, and they still did their own EMS, that was important to me.
Oh, okay. Obviously. Some places didn't. Huh?
Right. Yeah. Like Fort Worth doesn't do EMS. They first respond, like they have paramedics and EMTs, but MedStar runs the ambulance here.
Oh, so it's kind of contracted out, or somebody else does it.
Right. Right.
Not within the department. Okay.
Right. So those 3 tests were in 2 weeks. And I remember I took Denton's first, and I think I made a 52 on it.
Whoa.
It's terrible.
Quite a step down.
Yeah. It was one of the hardest tests.
It was different.
I'm a terrible, it was asking okay, you've got multiply 3 over 14 times 0.0078. It was like fractions times decimals. And I'm like,
really?
I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And it was long division.
That's a perishable skill. If you haven't done it in a few years, it's like, how do I do that again?
Totally bombed that test. Like the dude that graded it, sent it through the Scantron machine, just looked at me. I was like, okay. I just walked away.
What department was that for?
Denton.
Okay.
That was for Denton.
Cross that one off, right?
Yeah, that one was done. So then I did Plano after that. I got like a 60. Still failed, but I did a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then I think Plano's was after that, and I got like a 52 again. And I was like, cool. So now I can't even be a fireman. Like I can't even get this job right.
You had that one door cracked and you shut it.
Yeah.
And now you can't get back through it.
No, I was just like, I remember calling Mom like this. I don't think I'm ever going to get a job. Like I'm going to file for unemployment at like 25, It was terrible, but I ended up buying a book, and it was like how to relearn math for
smart.
all that.
Smart.
Did that every day. I still was working at the hospital, still was at Rendon volunteering.
Yeah.
And so I was learning how to do math again.
Oh my God.
And I ended up taking Keller's test, which is the city I work for now. And I made an 80 on it, which was the absolute lowest grade you could make to pass.
You back up to where you were for the first one, right?
Exactly, yeah. And it was a lot easier, too, than the other three, I'll say that.
And seems kind of unnecessary why they made it that difficult with some of those questions, right?
Well, they try to weed people out.
I get that. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
For Irving, there was almost 2,000 people that took a test for 2 spots.
I was going to ask you that very question because when I talked to Nick Carnesi, and he stayed a volunteer for so long because nobody had any availability. There was no open spots. I had no idea there were that many people, especially, in Texas, that's even more.
Yeah. And DFW, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, is just the highest paid in the state when it comes to firefighters.
So they can afford to be picky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They could pick and choose who they wanted. They could have this incredibly hard test first.
Yeah.
And then weed people out. So I did well with Keller, and then kind of started that hiring process, which I was getting ready. I was getting ready to finish up and do with them. The hiring process was about 4-5 months.
Wow.
Before I finally got hired.
Yeah.
But it included, the very next step was physical agility test, which we kind of talked about. So
are you finished with rookie school at this point?
Oh yeah, I've been done with rookie school for a while.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And my paramedic license, all that stuff had come through. So I was a medic, or I was a firefighter medic, which is nowadays like highly desirable.
Oh yeah.
If you've got a clean record and you're a fire medic, you can get a job wherever you want.
Really?
Mm-hmm. As long as you're not a piece of crap.
Yeah.
So the physical agility test, which was through the college, and I'd practiced it before I did it, but it was a like a hose maze, if you will.
Yeah.
So they go through this warehouse. They have a flat 1 3/4 hose line that's kind of snaked through this warehouse, which is pitch black. You put on your bunker coat, SCBA, and you have a mask that's blacked out.
Oh man!
So you can't see anything.
Yeah.
And then you have a time limit to get through the maze.
Following the hose?
Following the hose. So you just have to, they're making sure you can rely, you don't need vision.
Okay.
To get through like a smoky situation. Because in a smoked up building, you can't see shit anyways.
Really?
No, I mean, you can't even see your hand in front of your face.
Okay.
If it's smoky. So you do that, and then you take off the blackout mask, and you have a 100-foot ladder climb with your bunker gear, bunker coat. You got to climb the ladder, get to the top 100 feet, and then come back down. And I think you have like a 3-minute time limit for that or something.
Whoa.
And you think, like, you look at like, oh, I can do that, but like, and you can, but your quads are burning by the time you come down.
I would imagine so.
Just like legs are shaking. And even to this day, we do it for workouts at the station.
Yeah.
My legs are burnt. Sometimes
How high up?
I've done 100 feet.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's no
At
joke.
a 70-degree incline.
Are you carrying a tank?
Yeah, you've got your SC self-contained breathing apparatus. That's your air pack.
Okay, yeah.
And you have a helmet and a bunker coat.
Just a few pounds on your back?
Yeah, just a little bit. After that one, you do you get off that, and then you start the evolution, which is a what is it? It's a 2-inch. Don't give me a line. I think it's a 2-inch hose line.
Yeah.
Charged hose line, which means there's water to the nozzle. Drag. You have to drag that 25 feet and bring it back.
Okay.
And it's charged, so it's heavy.
Right.
And it's just a bitch to move, really. Once you're done with that, you come over and you do like a fan carry. We've got a big fan. You have to carry it from one set of cones to the other and back.
Oh, jeez.
And then you have to do, there's they call it the Kaiser Sled.
Uh-huh.
Where you like straddle this thing. It looks like what is the Olympic sport where they like clean in front of the ball? It's
curling?
Curling. That's what it kind of looks like. I don't know. I always think of curling. Actually, it's not related at all. But anyways, you like straddle this sled and you hit it with the sledgehammer and you have to move it, I don't know, 2 feet.
Oh, jeez.
And it's on like a thing and it's about like most people like me are bigger. Like you think you can get you a couple good hits and it'll move. It's about small, frequent hits.
It is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And it's a definite skill you got to practice. Otherwise, you will screw it up.
And you sit there and try to take the biggest heave at it.
Yeah. And then if
you
you
just
miss,
gonna tire yourself out. Yeah.
Exactly. So you do the Kaiser Sled, and then you have a 175-pound dummy drag. So you got to get
That's
the
no
dummy.
joke.
No.
I mean, dead weight like that is no joke.
Yeah, and they're probably they've talked about increasing the weight because you think about it like,
America's fat, baby.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, how many Americans do you know are 175 pounds? I'm not. So like, you got to go around this cone, bring it back.
Yeah.
And the very last thing you have to do, and I'm probably missing one of the steps, I can't remember, but I know the last thing is a ladder raise, 24-foot ladder raise, and it's pinned up against the building, and you have to stay in this little square, which is in front of the building, and you have to raise it hand over hand.
On the rope, on the pulley, right?
Yeah, they call it a halyard.
Okay.
Halyard, and you're raising the ladder up fully extended, and then you have to slowly let it down hand over hand. You can't let it slip, and you have to go up and down 3 times.
3 times?
3 times.
Oh, man.
And then you're done.
Really?
Yeah. And you have to make all that in a time limit, otherwise you don't pass the PAT. Some of my favorite memories are rookie school.
Okay.
And it was like the first week. Remember, I told you I was bigger, and I'm not tall, so I'm like a bowling ball, right?
Okay.
And I've got gear on. It's worse,
Yeah, yeah.
And so they put all your stuff on. You've got bunker coat, bunker pants, helmet, mask, and they black out your mask. And then you've got your breathing, your SCBA. So you're on air.
Yeah.
You have 30 minutes max of air, but since I was out of shape, you got about 16 to 18 minutes,
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you go through this maze. And if you look at it without being blacked out, it just looks like kind of like a small homemade jungle gym, really. But when you're blacked out, it feels like you're in the depths of hell, like you don't know.
Right, because you can't anticipate what's coming up.
Exactly. Like you're going based solely on feel.
Yeah.
You're going up through like small circles, and you're like turning your body around, and you get caught up in these wires, and you have to swim out of the wires.
See, when you said maze, I'm thinking, well, left, right.
No.
I was like, no, it's up and down and squeeze and through.
Yeah. And there's this one thing that like, it looks like a doggy door, and you had to get through. And they're like, everyone can get through it. Like, it doesn't matter how big you are. You just have to angle your body. You get like one arm in, and then your head, and then you got to
okay.
And I got stuck.
You did?
Yeah. And I had one dude behind me, this tiny dude. He was like, I work with him now. His name's Clayton.
Oh, yeah?
He's this little fellow. And he's like, Grossman, hurry the fuck up, And I was like, I think I'm stuck. And I have like the instructors like, come on, you can get through there, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I really think I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And then one of the older instructors who'd been doing it, I was like, Grossman, get your fat ass through that goddamn hole. And I remember it pissed me off to a certain point because I was stuck. Yeah. And I got my foot caught on the door, on the wall. And I just pushed with all my might to get through this hole. I ended up moving this entire maze like 2 feet.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was like, I still didn't get through until like I finally wiggled my way through after a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But
do you have the clock going in your head? I mean, because it's all timed, right?
Well, it's not. They just want you to get through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that exercise, it's important they're seeing how you do in like a claustrophobic atmosphere. And if you can, like, in a very stressful atmosphere, calm yourself down enough to get through, problem solve.
Sure.
So
It's a pretty good test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it. But that was the physical agility test.
Okay.
Prior to that.
So you pass all that.
Past that. And then you have a panel interview. Oh, you do? Yeah. So you sit in front of, I couldn't even tell you how many people were on there. I could tell you who exactly it was, though. There's like a FTP. There's a driver, a firefighter, a captain, and a battalion chief. And then the HR rep who sits on the board.
Well, that's intimidating as hell.
It's meant to be. Yeah. So then you have like a health physical. They draw your blood, do all that, and you have to do so many push-ups, sit-ups, and all that in a time limit.
Okay.
And then you have a lie detector test and a psych eval.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was pretty interesting because the first round lie detector test I failed. They said that they asked me if I was affiliated with any gangs. I said no. And he's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." "We're finishing this test because it shows that you're lying." And I'm like, what the fuck?
What, were they considering the fraternity a gang or something?
I told him, I was like, I just finished watching Sons of Anarchy. Like, maybe I feel like I'm in a gang now. I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
So I ended up getting a chance to retake it because I think they thought about that. And they're like, "Yeah, that sounds legit." And I'm like, this is a joke.
Yeah. Right.
You know? But I passed it the second time. All that said and done, the very last thing was a chief's interview where I get an interview with the fire chief. And it was a good interview, but he made it very known that I was number 3 on the list and they were only hiring 2.
Okay.
And so I was like, cool, I didn't get the job.
Yeah.
You know, but that's farthest I ever made it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've never made it in the process farther than that. And then probably like 2 weeks later, I didn't hear anything back from him. I get an email and it's like, "Show up to administration on this day for uniform fitting." I'm like,
is that welcome to the job or?
I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I was at the hospital when I was working whenever I got it. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
I called and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "I just got we forgot to call you. Congratulations. We wanted to offer you this job." I was like, "Oh, that's
a
cool.
good call."
Yeah. So apparently one of the guys did the physical and he failed it. So because he dropped out, I got the job.
So you backed into it.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Man, barely made it at the bottom. Skin my
That's
teeth.
all right, but you're in now. Nobody knows that.
That's why I'm open. I tell everybody I barely made it. There's no secret.
But everybody there made it.
Everybody there made it.
Whether at the top of the class or at the bottom, you're all through the door.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
So at that point, you're a full-time employee now.
Full-time employee. Yep.
Oh man! And what was that? Still, what year was that?
This is I got hired March 31st, 2014.
2014.
Mm-hmm.
Golly.
3/31/14. That was my hire date.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the calls you've been on that you remember. You know, first, hairiest, scariest, musing. You know, you got any of those?
Yeah, it's been. I was thinking about that. You know, obviously we've had some time to think about it. I was like, holy shit! Right. I got so many calls. Like, and Keller is like a very, I'd say like an affluent society.
Okay.
Like their median home price is like 450 to 500,000 in Texas.
Yeah, that's a lot.
People are very educated, well off for the most part.
Yeah.
So my stories aren't similar to like what you'd run in Dallas or Fort Worth, where like it's like, you know, they may have more homeless people stories or whatever. We don't have very many homeless.
Sure.
Right. We've got some rich kids, really.
But still, emergency situation is emergency situation. Right?
Agreed.
It can be just, it puts people in those situations that they're not used to.
Agreed. Yeah. It's still the same call, different clientele.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but
do you have experiences that, I was really firefighter heavy on this call, or I was all paramedic on this call?
A lot. So you think about the percentage of EMS that we run, and with my career there, I've been on the ambulance most of it. So,
okay.
And we run EMS. 95% of our call volume is EMS. And the other 5% is fire.
Okay.
Fire alarms, water flow alarms, car wrecks, grass fires. So the bread and butter is EMS. That's what we do the most of.
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh yeah, because I mean that's that's how we kind of classify keeping our job.
Makes sense.
You know? Yeah.
Makes sense.
So it's kind of weird.
Real quick, and this might be a dumb question, but how does, because I always thought paramedics came from the hospital.
Right.
And you're saying you're integrated into that fire department,
Mm-hmm.
whereas another fire department might contract that out,
Mm-hmm.
right? So do hospitals have their own paramedics, or is that mostly the home of the fire department now?
So paramedics do work in the hospital.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I met my fiance, Sarah, in the ER. I'd been there for 3 years whenever she had started working there.
Yeah.
And I worked in the ER. I was just a tech.
Oh,
like
you weren't going
paramedic.
out on calls.
Nope.
All right.
Now it depends on the city and who they're contracting their EMS out.
I got you.
So in Fort Worth, where I live, MedStar has the EMS contract for the city of Fort Worth and some
Okay.
of the smaller cities around.
Yeah.
And then where I work, just east of Fort Worth in Keller, the fire department has the EMS contract and the fire contract.
All right.
Right. So we run.
I see
the
how it
EMS.
varies. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so your smaller fire department cities, like you got Keller, Westlake, Southlake, Colleyville, kind of in this Euless, Bedford, Hearst, HEB, Mid-Cities area.
Yeah.
Smaller fire departments, they run their own EMS. We don't have like a private company that runs it.
Okay. So tell me about a call that surprised you.
I would have to say, and it's weird because I just got a patient update on.
Oh, you did?
On this patient 2 days ago while I was here.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was a year on, and it was 3 a.m, and we get called for a 19-year-old female in labor.
Okay.
And granted, I've been a paramedic now for maybe a year and change.
Yeah.
And I was with the guy driving me was a rookie, and he hadn't been paramedic as long as I have.
Yeah.
I did have a truck crew that was coming to the call too, but I was just like, whatever. She's 19 in my head. She's 19 years old, probably her first pregnancy. I got some time to work with. They're probably just being dramatic, whatever.
Okay.
That's what goes through my head. Plus, it's 3 a.m. I'm not awake. My hair is 4 different ways.
Yeah. Right.
I still have sleep in my eyes, like,
Right.
And I get there. I remember like one of the cops was like frantically waving me down, which I'm about 50-50. Sometimes cops can overreact. I hope they listen to this. We have like a good competition with them, so they'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm still taking my time going in here, whatever. And I can hear a lady who is obviously in distress. And I go into this house, which isn't very big,
Yeah.
into a bathroom, which is even smaller, which is probably the size of this couch right here.
Oh, man.
And I see her kind of on all fours, and she is very uncomfortable, and her dad is behind her, and he's like, yeah, she's about to have this baby. And I'm pretty known to be assertive in stressful situations.
Okay.
I'm very nice, but like when I'm in work mode, I'm like
You're directive. You have to be.
very, and I was like, you out.
Yeah.
I was like, get out. Everyone else get out. Travis, I need you in here. And
Good.
I was like, I just told her, I was like, listen, sweetheart, I need to take a look and see where we are with this, and then see what we need to do. Because if the baby is crowning, which means if the head is showing, we're not going anywhere. We're doing it right now.
Okay. Yeah.
If you don't see anything, we can stand her up and walk her to the cot, go to the hospital, haul ass. She can have the baby at the hospital.
Yeah.
Take a look. There's some hair, like a head of hair.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. Like, paramedic a year and a half. I'm like, this is happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I was like, all right, I need pillows, blankets, towels. Travis, I need the OB kit. And I just told her, I was like, we're going to deliver this baby right now.
Hot water? Did you send somebody for hot water?
No hot water. Yeah. Didn't even think about that.
Every movie I've ever seen.
I know. Yeah. We need hot water. Yeah. And I just remember she's like, no, I don't want to deliver. Can't we just get the hospital? I was like, we're not going to make it, sweetie. Like we got it. We're going to do it right now. So we kind of like very gently got her onto where she was sitting down, leaned up against the bathtub, had like towels everywhere. Cause I'd never delivered a baby, but I was like, this is going to be rough,
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
scary.
Yeah. And then I remember her dad, I think it was her. No, I had the dad, baby's father, brought him into this tiny bathroom. He climbed over me behind her and was like holding her, trying to be supportive. And I put all my stuff on and I was like, all right, we're going to push and do all that. And I mean, like it was 2 pushes.
Oh, and she was ready.
Baby. And come to find out, this wasn't her first kid. So, after the first kid, it comes out a little faster.
Well, maybe that's a good thing, I guess.
I just remember baby came out and I was like, oh shit. That was my first thing I think I said. And because, I mean, this is
not very reassuring, Mike.
No, it's not. And it's like, it's so slippery. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You don't
know.
But everything went well. Didn't drop the kid, which is wonderful. Had the dad, or I think I ended up cutting the cord because I was like shaking so bad.
Yeah.
And baby came out so healthy. Like
really?
Beautiful delivery. Yeah.
Did the baby cry right away? Or
As soon as I got her on, I had like a towel, a little blanket, and I kind of stimulated the baby a little bit. She started crying, and then
that's a big relief too, right?
Latched onto mom like right away, and did all that. And I just remember this story. So, granted, remember I'm in this tiny ass bathroom.
Yeah.
And
you're a big dude still.
Yeah, I'm a big dude. My partner's a bigger dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I have the truck crew in the back, and then I have family that's still back there. And I remember the grandma, because this was the grandparents' house that we were doing this delivery. The grandma was talking to my partner Travis, was trying to video the whole thing.
Oh no!
It was like, hey, firefighter, move your big head. Like that's all I could hear. We all just start laughing. But anyways, so did that, took them to the hospital, make sure everything was okay. Healthy baby girl.
What was the update you got just recently?
My buddy who retired from Keller Fire Department still goes in the city, does something, said that he's like, hey, just ran into this girl, said that you delivered her baby and wanted, and had her with her. And it's like, she has her 7th birthday coming up.
Oh my goodness.
All this stuff. And I was like, that's awesome. Kind of get an update like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a first. And I was definitely surprised with that.
Oh, how many babies have you delivered?
Just one.
Just that one? Way back when?
Yep.
Wow.
I'm perfectly okay with that being the only baby I delivered.
It just seems like so much can go, I mean, it seems like no delivery is the same, right?
No.
Especially out there away from the hospital. My goodness.
Yeah, everything was perfect. Like mom was healthy.
Yeah.
They had done prenatal care. She was up to date with all of her, getting ready to be a mom stuff. Dad was there, that he was educated. Parents were there. Grandparents were there.
Oh,
they were educated.
Yeah.
Everyone, and this baby came out perfect.
Oh.
And there are just so many complications that could go wrong.
Yeah.
In which I wouldn't be able to finish the delivery. We'd have to just haul us to the hospital.
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, because you're not. That's not part of your job, right?
No, if a foot comes out, I can't. I can't
breach
finish
or something like that.
Yeah, I can't finish that delivery.
Oh no!
Or a shoulder or something, and
so you needed to go just like it did.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much just like that. Any other way, it would have been a bad day.
What a night!
Yeah.
What scared you the most so far?
This was a fire-related call. This is before I was even at Keller. This is in the county.
Okay.
And granted, I had a few interactions with fire before, and I was very minimally trained.
Yeah.
So I wasn't useless, but I remember it was December and it was 2 a.m. I was doing a night volunteer shift.
All this stuff happens at night, huh?
Yeah. All the crazy shit that happens 2, 3 a.m. is bad.
Yeah.
And we get called to a fire out in the county. And when you get called to a structure fire, you really depend on the additional information because it could be excuse me.
Now, is that additional information coming from where? Anywhere?
Dispatch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Dispatch is respond to this address for structure fire. And in the 5 minutes you're on the way there, be advised we're getting multiple calls about smoke showing from the roof. If you hear that, you're okay, this is a worker.
This is a what?
A worker.
What's a worker?
This is an actual fire.
Okay.
Or if you hear family states that they can smell some burning electrical wires in the house, then you're nah.
I got you.
Yeah, you got a 50-50 shot on that one.
Yeah.
So we didn't get any additional for this.
Oh.
And I was with a captain. He actually worked in Grand Prairie. He was really cool. And we show up to this house and it looked weird. That's all I can say initially.
Yeah.
The home did not look like a normal home.
Huh.
It was one story. It looked like it was pier and beam. So it was it had a stairway to the front door, almost like a mobile home.
Really?
Initially. And in the county, there's no building code. So people do whatever they want.
Yeah. Okay.
What was actually the deal is it was a mobile home under a tin roof, like carport roof.
Huh.
And they had filled the sides with like insulation and siding.
Oh my goodness. Really?
Weird. It was weird.
Okay.
And so fire's coming out of that front window. And we're like, okay, we got to have a fire. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I already have all my gear on. I'm ready to go. My officer's like, hey, get the 1 3/4, take it to the front door. I'm going to do a 360, go around the house. And so I get the hose line ready to go. I got the driver. He puts it in pump gear, gets me the water. And I always thought it was weird. Now, this is a little old school because he was an older firefighter.
Yeah.
I got the front window here, right on and then the front door. And there's fire blowing out of this window.
Whoa.
So like instincts would tell me that, hey, put water on that, like should probably do that. And I was about to, and he's like, no, man, we're not going to do that. Let's just go inside. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
Sounds like a great idea. I don't know what I'm doing. So sure, I'd probably kill someone if I did that. I don't know.
Huh.
So we go inside, the door is locked, obviously. But we have the tools, we call them set of irons.
Yeah.
It's a Halligan tool and an axe.
Okay.
And we busted through this door, and it was like a mobile home door, so it didn't take much.
It wasn't too sturdy.
Yeah, I did try to kick it first, and I definitely fell because it was December and it was icy. I looked like such an idiot.
You're gonna macho up, huh?
Yeah, I was like, oh, and I fell over. It was pretty cool, and my officer was just laughing at me. But as we get into this house, and there is fire everywhere.
Really?
Right now, this is the first fire I'd been in where I'm just like, it's me, my officer, and fire, and like it's my job to put that out, right?
Yeah.
So I start going to work, just putting water on all the fire, and that converts to steam, and it's cold as shit. So now you have zero visibility.
Oh,
Zero visibility at all. You don't know
that.
where you're going.
Yeah.
And so he's pushing me through. He's behind me because when you have the hose open, it obviously gives you a lot of tension. So moving it forward can be pretty tiring.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's behind me feeding me the hose, and it's like he's trying to push me into the fire. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, get your ass in there, pussy. Like, I was like, okay. Like, yeah, it sounds like it's called getting buried up, get buried up in there and go do work. Because if you're putting the fire out, it's not dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's dangerous, but it's like you're not going to get burned up.
Right.
So we're in there just putting all this fire out, going to town. Like, I feel like a firefighter at this point,
Nice.
And out of nowhere, I get hit right in the face. It feels like an anvil hit me in the face, like knocks me down. And I was like, what the fuck? And my officer picks me up. This dude was like jacked. He was like Captain America. He picked me up. He's like, hey, you all right? I'm like, yeah. What happened is a ceiling fan on the roof. I guess the roof got sagging. So it just came down like, bam.
Oh, man.
Hit me right in the face. And I was scared because it was real smoky and I thought I was going to get all the smoke. Well, I was all right. He's like, you good? I'm like, yeah. So he's like, let's go. Let's keep going to work.
All right.
So we get pushed up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Putting all this fire out. And then all of a sudden, like, I was standing on the floor, and then I was not. I was like below the house. And I thought I had fallen into a basement.
Yeah.
In the fire world, basements are firefighter killers. Like,
really?
Yes. Because if the fire's in the basement, this is all surrounded by concrete, right? It's just an oven.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, holy shit, I'm dead.
Oh, jeez.
But in reality, it was a mobile home. So like I'd fallen to the subfloor, which is just the ground, really. And I fell all the way, like all of a sudden I was fighting fire, and all of a sudden when I was looking, the floor was like right here above my helmet.
Jeez, it just gave away.
Yeah, because it was all the fire had been working and weakening the floor.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So I just remember I was like stunned for a second, really. And then freaking Captain America, my officer just picks one hand, just like grabs me and pulls me out of there. And
so he's picked you up twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he pick you up when you tried to kick the door and fell?
No, I did that one. I picked myself up on that one. Okay. He was laughing though. He got a good kick out of it. Yeah, this dude, I don't know, man. Like,
he's tired from just picking you up.
Just picking me up. He's got to be like, this motherfucking rookie. God damn. Like, he's like, this guy's wearing me out. But yeah, so and then we get the fire out after that, after about an hour of working. And I just remember that scared the shit. I thought I died like twice.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and
you tell it pretty cavalierly, but
yeah, it was scary.
I mean, you seem like a pretty positive guy, but I could imagine if it did scare you, yeah.
Oh yeah, especially since I was like, at that time I wasn't even thinking I would do this full time. I was like, this part-time gig is about to kill me. This is bullshit. You know?
Right.
Oh man.
Give me your funniest one now. Or one that you can think of. I'm sure you get fun all day long, but
yeah. There's one that sticks out, and it's one of my favorite stories, and it actually isn't just fire department related. It was when I was working at a hospital in the emergency room.
Yeah.
And I've worked in the ER total 6 years on and off different hospitals. Wow. Yeah. Worked at the Children's Hospital for a couple of years, worked at the county, and then at a smaller ER where I met Sarah.
Okay.
But I was sitting up at the front triage desk, which is basically your first look at patients if they're walking in.
Yeah.
And we were getting our ass kicked that night. I remember we were so busy and everyone was just like, we had patients in the hallways. Like it was a busy night.
Yeah.
So I was working with this triage nurse. She had been a nurse for a long time. And me and her, we were tight because like she did not give a fuck. Like,
well, you have to kind of be dispassionate in order to make things happen, right?
You do. And triage nurses are wheeling and dealing. They're like, tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
These are your vitals. And then they have to basically grade you. Like they call it the ESI triage. So you are anywhere 1 to 4. So 1 is like if we don't do interventions right now, you'll die.
Okay. 2
is like you've got 5 to 10 minutes. If we don't do interventions, you'll die. 3 is like chest pain. Like we need to figure out what's going on. 4 is earache, sore throat.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So, and granted, that's not the actual ESI triage.
No, but that sets them into priority, so you know who to treat first, right?
Right. So we were getting busy, and she's like, the best way I could help, she's like, if you can get their vitals, get their chief complaint, what's going on? She's like, I'll ask them all the other questions and grade them later. I was like, okay, cool.
Okay.
So I remember she had just taken a patient back, and I'm looking, and this dude walks in the front doors. He is probably 6'7", 6'8", big dude, 300, probably close to 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Just what we call just a Bubba. Just Wranglers, Carhartt.
Oh,
He's a Bubba.
Yeah.
Right. Walks in slow, and he's wearing a gray shirt, but he is sweating, visibly sweating a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the things I teach, and everyone teaches in EMS and medical, is like, you have your vital signs, blood pressure, heart rate, all this stuff, but you also have patient presentation, and diaphoresis is a symptom, symptom. And that's one of the only things people can't fake. I can.
Really?
Yeah. Like I can hype myself up, get my heart rate up. I can hold my breath, get my heart rate down. I can get stressed out and get my blood pressure up, or calm down, get it down, whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't fake sweating.
That's what diaphoresis is?
Cold sweats.
Oh.
Cold sweats is diaphoresis.
Yeah, I suppose you can. Yeah.
No, you can sweat because you've been out working.
Yeah.
But you're going to be hot skin and hot sweat. It's normal. But if you have cold skin, cold sweat, something's going on.
Okay.
So anyways, he walks in. He looks pale as hell, sweating visibly.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at my triage nurse. She's about to take another patient back. I'm like, hey, he don't look good.
Yeah.
Do you want to take him back? She's like, no. She's like, I'll be back. Just tell me what's going on with him. I'm like, okay, fine.
So whatever. Left you with him.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell? So I take him into the triage room, and he's just anxious. I'm like, hey, man, my name is Mikey. I'm one of the medics here. Can you have a seat? I'll get your vital signs real quick. And he's like, I'd rather not. I said, okay.
Okay.
I was like, I need to get your vital signs if you want to be seen tonight.
Yeah.
Are you having pain or anything? And he's like, he scoffed and sat down with like attitude, which for me on a long night, I'm like, bruh, I do not have time for this. Yeah.
Right.
And I was like getting him on the vitals machine, doing all this stuff. And he is just so sweaty.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking in my head, he's having what we call a STEMI, ST elevated myocardial infarction heart attack.
Okay.
It's just how we classify heart attacks. So I already have the EKG machine in there, and I'm like drying off his chest, shaving, and I'm like about to do this EKG because I'm like, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I've seen it a million times. And I've got getting the vitals, getting the EKG. EKG comes out. This dude still hasn't talked to me. Like he won't.
He's just sitting there.
He's quiet. Yeah. And I'm trying to small talk, you know, what's going on today. And he's just kind of ignoring me. I'm like, whatever. EKG came out and it was clean. Looked fine.
Okay. No harm.
So I was like, okay, something's going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, man, I was like, can you just help me out? What brought you in tonight? And he's like, I'd rather wait for the doctor. I was like, listen, I was like, we are.
You got to go through you to go to see the doctor, right?
Exactly. I'm trying to convey that message very nicely.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, man, we're a full house tonight. We are slammed. I was like, if the doctor will come in here, but I need something to tell him. I was like, what's going on? Like, you look visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He kind of looked at me like, how dare you, you know?
Jeez.
And I was just like, what? Yeah. You know, like, I'm like, he's like, I'd rather wait. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to put this plain for you. I'm not getting the doctor until you tell me what's going on.
Okay.
We are busy. I have other patients who are sick that I need to see.
Yeah.
I was like, so you are more than welcome to go sit outside and suffer, or you can tell me what's going on. I don't have time for this.
Right. Absolutely.
You don't. And I said it with a smile on my, I'm wearing a mask. He can't see it, but whatever. And he just sits there, takes a deep breath. He's like, well, I need the nurse in here. And I was like, she's busy as well, dude. I was like, I'm all you got. And he interrupted me. And he's like, I am having GI distress. That's what he said.
Okay.
Which is highly specific for a patient to say. Like, unless they're a medical field.
Somebody would say like, hey, my stomach hurts or something like that.
Right. And I was like, oh, does your stomach hurt? Do you have abdominal pain? Do you have chest pain? He's like, I have abdominal pain. I'm like, okay, all right.
All right.
When did this start? He's like, 6 hours ago. I was like, okay, was it this bad 6 hours ago? And he was like, yes. I was like, okay, well, what brought you in now? And he's like, I just have abdominal pain. I was like,
God, this guy.
And so I asked him, I was like, okay, all right, man, I got you. Well, we're going to need a urine sample. We're going to, do all this stuff. And I was like, look, and there's no judgment in any drugs or alcohol. And he's like, no. I was like, okay, is there anything else that I need to possibly tell my physician before I send you back to the waiting room? I was like, because you look uncomfortable. I'm really trying to advocate for him.
Right. Despite himself. Yeah.
And he just like takes a deep breath. I'm like taking notes or whatever. And he's like, I have an 8-inch dildo stuck in my ass.
Oh my God. Really?
And I'm just sitting there like taking notes. And this one time I'm grateful that we have masks on because of COVID, because my mouth is just wide open. Like I've been waiting. I've heard about these stories for years.
Yeah, right.
And I've never seen one. And I'm like, oh, it's finally
actually happened to you.
Yeah. And
or not to you. It happened to him, but it came into you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting there, okay. And he's like, it's been there for 6 hours.
Whoa.
I can't get it out. And he's like, and I was just taking notes. And he's like, it's still vibrating. And I was like,
my God.
I was like, okay. I was like, look, man. I was very nice. I was like, no judgment.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're going through this. I'm going to go get the doctor right now. Don't move.
Right.
All right. And so I walk out of this triage room, and granted, it's still chaos out there. Like,
yeah.
I see the doc who's sitting there, young guy, super cool doctor, right? Yeah, really close to him. And I was like, hey, doc, can you come here? I'm trying to be discreet as best I can.
Yeah.
But the doc sits here, the PA sits right behind him, and then all the nurses right there.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, hey, can you come here for a second? And he's like, Mike, we're busy, man. He's like, what you got? And I was like, just come here. I'm serious. And he's like, what is it? And finally I was like, this dude has an 8-inch dildo stuck in his ass. It's been there for 6 hours and it's still vibrating. And like, I figure I can whisper pretty well, but apparently my voice carries.
Apparently.
Just everyone screeches to a halt in the whole ER. And like the first comment out of the peanut gallery was one of the nurses, what kind of batteries does he use? 6 hours, that's incredible. Like that's all we're getting. Anyways, end up getting this dude back. And now like I kind of bonded with him. I was like, he finally trusted me,
Yeah.
So I take him back to the room, inform him what's going on. They do the CT scan. They did
a CT on him?
Well, they got to see where it is.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
So they had to do the abdominal CT. Well, it was so far up, they had to do abdominal and chest.
Oh,
It took 2 images, and then it was just like a freaking submarine in there, dude. Like,
oh, my God.
I don't know what it was or what. And I remember talking to him. I'm like, look, man, we'll get you taken care of, all this stuff. Is there anyone we need to call? And he's like, yeah, my wife, just let her know. I was like, okay, I'll let the nurse do that one.
Yeah, right.
Not comfortable with that conversation.
Yeah.
But he had emergency surgery, had to get that taken out.
They did. Wow.
Because it was obstructing basically his.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
right?
everything.
6 hours.
6 hours. And he was still having bowel movements around it.
Oh.
But like,
God.
I was like, I can't imagine the discomfort the poor guy was going through.
Yeah. I wonder how did you ever find out the answers to any of those questions? Was
I
wife involved? How did he get so far? That kind of thing.
No, I tried. Now the surgeon that was there, she's really cool. And I was trying to get some answers out of her, but she's pretty tight-lipped out. So,
whoa.
Yeah, that was that. I thought I was going to go my career without running one of those calls, but definitely.
I mean, that seems so. When you hear those stories, they seem so fake.
I 100% agree. And I will never I just wish people. I do wish people could witness it so they could see what it was like.
Well, yeah, I trust you. You lived it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same, I just remember telling my triage nurse, who I told you, she's like, she's been doing this forever, so she's just salty. And I just told her, I was like, hey, blah blah blah, and she just looked at me and rolled her eyes. She's like, fucking people. That's all she said. This call, I mean, do we have time? This is one of my favorite.
We can go as long as you want.
Yeah, okay. This was another one. It was 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. Everything happens in the middle of the night. Show up to this house. And wife says, my husband had a seizure on the toilet and I can't get him up.
Oh.
Okay. Whatever. And whatever it is about these calls in these tiny ass bathrooms, people have got the smallest fucking bathrooms in the world, right? I swear. And they're always stuck in the toilet or wedged between the toilet and the wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This.
Yeah. So this dude he's a hefty dude, but he was sitting on the toilet and he had his wheelchair, because I thought at the time he was wheelchair bound, in front of him. And he was sitting on the toilet, but his head was in the wheelchair. So he's bent over.
Oh, okay.
And so she's like, yeah, he's been like this for a couple minutes. And I'm like, shit, is he breathing?
Yeah.
So I go feel for a pulse. I don't feel one. And I go to pick him up and he's heavy.
Oh.
So it's in the middle of the morning. So I'm just finally I just lift. But dude's not breathing, no pulse.
Yeah.
So he's a CPR now.
Yeah.
So now we have to drag this dude who's 6'2", 2 something out into this bedroom, and we have no room to work. This is the amount of room we were working in right here.
Oh, jeez.
Right. And we have this thing called the Lucas device.
Okay.
Which does CPR compressions for us.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, you put this back plate on and then you hook these two things in. Suction cup goes on the chest and then it pulls and pushes.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's awesome because it doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
It has a battery. So
yeah,
put that on them and we're doing our CPR. So every 2 minutes we're checking for a pulse, doing all that. Get him on the Lucas device. I'm about to check his rhythm and it looked weird. It didn't look like someone who had just died. It didn't look like someone who I could shock.
Yeah.
It was a slow ventricular arrhythmia. And I'm like, that's just strange. And I noticed the dude was grunting. Huh. He's like, ugh, every time I do compression.
Okay.
And I was like, that was weird. So I stopped and did a pulse check, no pulse. So we kept going. And then all of a sudden I look down because I'm getting ready to stick an airway in and his freaking eyes are open. Oh. And I'm like, sir? And he blinks and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Pause it. I'm like, are you all right? And then he dies again. So then I then we start compressions again. We go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, he's like, what are you doing? And then I was like, he's freaking talking to us.
Whoa.
Pause it. He dies. The compressions were keeping him alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then I kept it on. And then he kept why are you I asked him why we're doing this? Yeah.
Compressing his chest.
Yeah. So then I stop it again. And this time he was alive for a little bit longer. And then he died again.
Oh, jeez.
So now we have him on this backboard.
Okay.
We have to take him down these narrow ass stairs.
With the machine still going?
With the machine going on. So we have people on sides. We have freaking, it's a miracle people, we don't drop anyone, but we've done it long enough. We kind of have a system.
Yeah.
And get him down to the bottom floor and get him onto my cot because we were upstairs. And he starts talking again. I pause it. And he's like, what is going on? I was like, you keep dying. I'm like, quit dying. And he's like, I'm sorry.
Oh, jeez.
I'm sorry. And I was like, it's okay. I was like, how do you feel right now? He's like, my chest hurts. I'm like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, and this time he's staying alive for a little bit, and then he freaking dies again. 5 times he did that. And by the time we get him out to the ambulance, which is another 2 minutes.
You're saying dying, he's flatlining, right?
I
guess because you don't have a machine hooked up, right?
Right.
So, but no pulse.
Right. He didn't. Yeah. By diet, no, I have the monitor on him so I can see his
Oh,
heart
you
rate.
do? Okay.
Yeah. And while he's talking, he has a rhythm, and then it slows down and then goes away.
Wow, that's the oddest thing, huh?
Yeah. By the time we get to the ambulance, he wakes up again. This time he's awake. He's like, sit me up. He's like, I think I'm done. That's what he said. I was like, okay. Huh? And he was. He was alive the whole way to the hospital.
He was done.
He was done dying. I guess he decided. Yeah, he decided he was done.
Whoa.
But get him to the hospital. He had earlier that day.
Yeah.
He had a pacemaker placed. Apparently, at some point, some of the probes in the pacemaker may have been in the wrong spot.
Oh, really?
So it was misfiring.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So he got that fixed. Now he's good to go. I saw him in the ICU that next day too. Yeah. That's crazy.
Jeez. That's insane.
Yeah.
I guess at first you're girded up because you don't know what you're going to run into.
Yep.
Still that way after 8-10 years of doing it?
Yeah, I get excited.
Yeah.
Like I'm a huge nerd for EMS. Like I don't, granted, I love helping all people, but like if it's an easy chest pain or whatever,
Right.
you know, I can do that. That's like bread and butter. But if it's like one of the hard calls where you have to critically think and use all your skills, or we're going to have to intubate or sedate, cardiovert, anything like that. Like I
do
love
math,
it.
for example.
Math. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at math, but you know, where we use math is we have to do medication.
Yeah.
So you have to convert everyone, which we're all in pounds. You convert everyone into kilograms. And then most of our meds are so many milligrams per kilogram. And then you can give so many doses.
That's that whole language, milligrams, milliliters, micrograms. It's just like, oh, wow.
Yeah. It's that I'm solid if you get me into that kind of math. It's, I guess it's more algebra. Find the value of
practical.
X.
It's,
exactly.
You're doing that. So you're like in the ultimate problem solving job.
Yes.
Every call is not the same. You got to do something different every time.
Every time.
Still love it?
I love it. It is the best job in the world. It's not work.
Yeah.
Like I get to go to, do this to earn money to provide for my family. I don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Firefighter FTP.
That's right.
Mike Grossman. God, that's been a blast, man. That was fun to talk.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. That was fun to tell all my stories.
Now, and congratulations on your upcoming nuptials, I should say.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the story, Mike. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
On behalf of Firefighter FTP Grossman, I'd like to thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please leave a like and a comment, and share the podcast with someone else. And, as always, make sure to download the next episode for more service origin stories. And always remember, save lives, protect property, and make every second count. Take care. See you next time.